Hello, beautiful people. So we have done the top of our box. I have my letter, I have my carvings in the background, and I have my frame. It's finished. At least the top is finished. Now I'm going to flip it over. And yes, I mean that. It should be fine as long as you are not pressing down on it. It's good. Plus, we worked on this long enough where it's sort of stiffened up. So there are a lot of little boogers on my project right now that I'm gonna rib off eventually. But the first thing I'm gonna have to do is make the sides to my box. The reason why I flipped this over is because we work on boxes upside down. So the top is on the bottom at first. So I've rolled out a slab of clay, and I have my beautiful rib. I'm going to take my rib and I'm ribbing it again. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a very, very straight line on one side of my project. Remember, I'm always cutting towards me and I'm always protecting the clay. So I'm going to just make an edge on one side. That's it. This is to make just a straight line. How I decided where to start the straight line is I put my ruler on here and I was like, ooh, where am I going to have a corner? So now I have a perfect little corner on the bottom. We're gonna have a new tool. This is very exciting. This looks like a triangle, but it's called a square. And the reason why it's called a square is because it makes perfect squares, which is what we want. We want a perfect rectangle. So I'm gonna put my square along that edge that I just made. And again, I wanna leave as much clay as humanly possible on here. I want to have as much as I possibly can. That way it is as long as my box, maybe a little longer, so I don't have to keep rolling out slabs of clay. So I'm going to cut this, and then I'm going to run out of room and be sad. I'm not going to be sad. I'm going to just put my ruler up to it. I'm going to make sure my ruler lines up to my square marks. I'm going to cut all the way to the end. So now I have to measure for how high I want my box. So I want my box to be at least 3.5 inches. You can make it 4 inches, you can make it 5 inches, you can make it 10 inches, but the minimum is 3.5. So if your ruler is like my ruler, I'm going to measure. This is the 3 mark. This is the 4 mark. This is where 3 starts. This is where 4 starts. The line in between those two is 3.5 inches. That's really important. And that's the measurement we want all the time. If you need to, take a pencil and mark the ruler. So now I'm going to put the edge of my ruler at 3.5, and I'm going to mark where it is on top. And I'm going to do this twice. I'm going to go to 3.5, and I'm going to mark where this is here. I am going to get my square. Your square is set up where this is a T, and then the line, it's not like a regular ruler, right? So the whole point of that is when you line it up on your slab, they're the same size. So then I can put this on my slab like this, and if it doesn't move, that means it's a square. And this is going to make a perfect rectangle. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line it up on my little line that I just made, and I'm going to cut. And then I'm gonna put my ruler here, and I'm gonna line my ruler up on my square, and I'm gonna keep cutting all the way to the edge. And I'm gonna do the same on top. I'm gonna cut it all the way until I can't cut it anymore. If I need to, I'll use my ruler. Okay, so I'm gonna keep these scraps really close by. Notice I am not working on the slab mat because that would be a disaster. Now, you do not have to measure anything for this project other than the 3.5 inches. I'm gonna take my whole project and I'm gonna put it on top of my slab. I really like doing that. And I'm gonna draw a line. For how long this needs to be, and I'm gonna draw a line for how long the other side needs to be. And these are 2 of my lines. So I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna double check. Yep, here. And now I have the 2 longest parts of my box, which is exactly what I want. Okay, I'm gonna cut all 4 parts of my box. The first thing I'm gonna do is, while I have this flat on the table, is I'm gonna score it. Notice how I have my hand covering up where it's scored. This does get a little wiggly, it's really long. Everyone is like, ugh, it's too wiggly and long. Yeah, it's too wiggly and long, it's okay. Scoring is really important. So the way that this works is that you don't just score once, you score twice and then you add slip. But you know, this is new clay, well, relatively. It's more plastic and it's a little bit more wiggly than my box top. So I'm gonna bring my box top over and I'm really gonna score the daylights out of this thing. Like, I am going to be very aggressive when I score this. Make sure we have this out of the way. And I'm gonna score about 1 inch in. I'm also going to score up the side of what I just did. And I'm going to score the side of where I am on this. You can't, the sides will crack if you do not score them. And I'm going to score the inside of this now that I know the inside needs to be scored. So I'm going to score the inside of my slab. So much scoring, and I'm gonna score this. So now everything is scored. So I'm going to get my slip. I'm gonna get my slip. I'm gonna paint my slip on. Oh, this is a good slip. I'm gonna make a mess with my slip. That's the best part of the slip, is that you get to be messy. And put slip all over this. And then remember, it's not just slip and score. We have to score, slip, score again. This has to be really gooey. I am going to now set this on. Put it together. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ruler, because it's straight. and I'm gonna whack it a little tiny bit going down, and then I'm gonna whack it a little bit going together. Okay. That is step one. And cutting off this extra. So again, my goal is to make everything go straight up and down. So I'm gonna hold my square to my project. And I'm gonna mark it with a line. And I know this line is straight up and down now. And I'm gonna cut it along the line. That's it. That's all I'm gonna do. Ah! Don't let it go. Remember, you can rivet at this point on the outside, but you've got to go across these lines. So I like the popsicle stick for this because then I can really go through and smash these guys together. But what I don't want to do is go in the direction of this. If you need to, you can prop up the water bottle on the inside so that you have something to push against, because I'm going really gently right now. Okay, and then after I don't see a seam anymore, I see no holes, no nothing, then I can start ribbing in the direction. But I have to make sure there are no holes there first. If there's a hole, if there's a seam, if there's anything, it will be a disaster. First, there's a seam here, there's a seam here. They have water, they've been scored, and they have slip, but they don't have, or they've been scored, but they don't have slip. So the first thing I'm going to do is put slip on. More slip, so much more slip. Then I'm going to take my scoring tool, make sure it's clean and isn't all goopy, and I'm going to score everything again. There are giant, giant boogers in your project like I have. Feel free to swipe them away. Then I'm going to take some of my extra clay that I have, and I'm going to ball it up, roll it into a worm, roll that worm into a coil on the table. Score my coil. Coil in here. Smooth the inside, smooth the outside. I'm going to take my popsicle stick . Remember, corners crack. Always. They always crack.